Hey man, how are you? Since you mentioned double clutching when we were on FaceTime, I figured I would show you how it's done and why you do it. In your case, you have to get around a problem with a broken synchro, but double clutching in general is pretty good practice for driving any manual car. In the days before gearboxes were equipped with synchros on the upshift and downshift, double clutching was basically mandatory because all of your gears were unsynchronized, meaning that all of the gears were spinning at different speeds on the shaft, and you needed to make sure that the revs on the engine matched what the equivalent RPM would be for each ratio in the box. The synchros enable the gears to be pre-spun before everything falls into gear, so that you don't have to double clutch and that you can accomplish gear shifts with just a single throw of the clutch pedal down and then up again. However, in the event that you have problems with your synchronizers, double clutching will enable you to keep using the full range of gears that you have available to you, even if they have some sort of an issue with the synchros. So, double clutching, it takes a little bit of practice. You have to be able to feel your car out in order to do it right. I've been doing it for every downshift that you've seen so far. But it takes a little bit of practice. You're probably going to grind a gear or two the first couple times you do it, and then you're going to figure it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run up and down the road here and just dictate in real time what I am doing and why I'm doing it. So I've got a green light up ahead. I'm in fourth gear at about 2200 revs. The light's going to stay green probably, and I don't have any reason to stop. We're just going to go through the intersection now, no matter what happens. And then I'm going to pick up the jug handle. We're on this Laurel Avenue we just passed, by the way, just so you can get your bearings. And we're going to pick up the jug handle by target. So light screen up ahead, 50 miles an hour in fourth gear, getting ready for that jug handle. So still at 50 miles an hour, clutch, neutral, rev, clutch, gear. Third gear, there's your downshift, double clutched and rev matched. On the brakes, now second gear, clutch, neutral, rev, clutch, second. And now we're coming to a stop, so neutral. And just coast so we can go through the left-hand turn across Route 35. Now on a lot of modern cars, even though you are synchronized on the upshifts and downshifts, first gear on most cars is not synchronized. So on this truck, what I have to do, and I'm not going to be able to get into first here because they started to roll a little bit too soon, but what I will do in this is whenever I come out of first gear to go into second, I will double clutch second gear. Because first is not synchronized, you'll get it into gear okay when you go into second, but you're not going to get a smooth transition, and you're going to make the clutch plates bounce off of each other, bounce off of the flywheel with the return springs in there, and you're going to put undue strain on the clutch and on the gearbox and maybe even on the drive shaft. So what I will do, and I'll do it once we pull away here, is I will double clutch out of first. You'll see me pause in neutral, and then I'll very deliberately put it into second. So watch. Clutch in first gear, pulling away, letting the traffic build a little bit of distance. They're not moving yet. All right, so I've got a little bit of speed pulling away in first. So clutch, neutral, clutch up, down, second gear, into gear. Now I did that a little bit slow just so I could do it to you, but just so I could show it to you rather, but all of this happens very, very quick, and I'm going to show you a pedal cam view in a couple of minutes so you can see what happens with the footwork as well. This is just trying to show you what my arm's doing as I'm going through here. Now on the 3/4 upshift right now, it's just a single clutch, off gas clutch gear, clutch off, and then gas again. It's a normal upshift. So you can double clutch all of your upshifts and all of your downshifts if you want, but again, on most modern manual gearboxes, that's just not necessary. And in fact, you're just going to put undue wear on your throwout bearing on the clutch if you keep doing that. No, you're not going to hurt it, but it's more wear and tear than absolutely needs to happen. All right, so here's the pedal cam view, and it might be a little bit difficult to see because the lighting in there is not the best, but I'm going to try to show you the footwork involved with double clutching. Coming up to a red light, into a stop, we're going to be making a right turn, and There's a complete stop, and we're going to be coming out of the turn in first gear, so I'll double clutch the 1-2 upshift once I get space. Alright, so here comes the pull away, clutch in, first gear, gas, and we're pulling out. Alright, neutral, and there's second gear. And now these are just normal upshifts. Where double clutching really comes into its element is going to be on the downshifts. Now, upshifting, as I do in this truck, 1-2 double clutch, that's what you're going to be having to do in the Maserati, because apparently you've got some sort of a synchro problem or something's fucked up. So that's going to be probably the only way that you can get it in. I'll double clutch a couple downshifts. I'm in fourth, third, now you can throw in some heel toe here, and your second, and neutral. And we're stopped. I'll do the same double clutch routine once I pull away, coming from first to second. The light's gone green. First gear. Off we go. And there you go. That's how it works in real time. That's as fast as it gets, basically, for this truck anyway, because I have a little bit of a lazy engine, which doesn't like to lose revs too quick, and the gearbox is just a little bit sluggish altogether. So that's what it is for the most part. Again, downshifting is where double clutching really comes into its element. But the way you saw it on the 1-2 upshift there as I was pulling away, that's how it works. You're off the gas entirely, and what you're doing is you are just pausing in the middle there with the clutch out. So two things are happening. One, you're synchronizing the speed of the flywheel on the engine with the input shaft of the gearbox, because the clutch's only function is to connect the engine to the gearbox's input shaft. So that's where all the torque from the engine is going into the transmission, and then it's transferred through the gears to the output shaft, and then out to your drive shaft, and finally your differential and your prop shafts. But it's neutral, coming to a stop. But what you're doing there is, even though no power is being transmitted, you're synchronizing the speed of the input shaft to that flywheel, so that when you put the clutch in again and then you put it into gear, everything is already spinning at the correct and appropriate speed. Pulling away in second there. We didn't come to a complete stop, and I got away with it. Red light up ahead, coasting in neutral. Came out of second gear. Waiting on another red light. Light's gone green. First gear, pulling away. Here comes the 1-2 double clutch. That's all it is. And then normal single clutch upshifts for all the other gears. So now I'm in third, fourth, and traffic is being a little bit retarded in front of me, so here's a downshift double clutch into third. Notice I blipped the throttle. When I come out of gear, I blip the throttle to raise the RPM on the engine while the clutch is coming up. So what we're doing is that same process on the upshift in reverse. We're matching the speeds of the input shaft on the gearbox to the flywheel on the engine. And that only happens when the clutch is completely engaged. So that's when the pedal is all the way up off the floor. You'll get a feel for this. It's really important to have a very good sense of where the bite point is. So you'll get used to your car and you'll know when it's starting to really take up power, and then, you know, once it's fully engaged. Most of the time, the travel on the pedal between where the clutch is completely disengaged and where the bite point is about a quarter of the travel all the way up from the floor. And then from the bite point to the point where everything is completely locked solid, it can be very, very fine. On this truck, the bite point is actually quite fierce. So it took me actually a little bit of time to get used to that, because you don't have a whole lot of wiggle room to really play with it. And you don't want to do that anyway, because you're going to be sliding the clutch plates across the friction surface on the flywheel, and you're going to overheat everything and wear everything out faster, if not blow it entirely. So get a feel for the bite point, get a feel for how quickly or how slowly you need to let your clutch catch up, basically, in order to start transmitting power again. And you'll just feel it out, to be honest. Downshifting downhill is another little kettle of fish. Again, the process is exactly the same, but you want to be careful when you're going downhill that you're not going to be picking up too much speed in that transition between gears. So right now I'm in 4th gear. I'm on Holland Road in Holmdel, and what you're going to see is I'm going to go uphill quite steeply in a moment, so I'm going to downshift into 3rd, and I'm going to raise the revs. Watch this. Now I'm in 3rd, coming up the hill. Top of the hill, no gas, still in 3rd gear. I'm just going to let engine braking take over and control my acceleration as I come down the hill. And it's probably really, really dark because I just passed into some shade. It's coming on the throttle, and now I'm going back uphill again quite steeply, still in 3rd gear. I'm right in the power band on this engine. So for this truck, it's around 2,200 to 3,500 revs is when I'm at max torque. So I'm in there right now. I'm in the sweet spot. Coming up to the top of the hill, and I'm just going to do a single clutch upshift into 4th, just like that. So there's nothing fancy going on in the upshifts at all, except for the 1-2 upshift where I double clutch. I'll show you downshifting into 3rd gear again, so we get into a little bit better lighting. Still cruising here in 4th, about 35 mile an hour. Doing a cool 1,500 RPM. I love how lazy this engine is. So, here we go. Clutch, neutral, rev, clutch, gear, and there's downshift into 3rd. It's that simple. Of course, the whole point of double clutching, again, if for some reason you have a problem with your synchros, or if you find yourself driving an older car, heavy trucks are notorious for this. A lot of these cars don't have synchros, so double clutching is mandatory on every single gear change. And actually, if you get really good at it, it's no big deal whatsoever. Double clutch into 3rd again, getting downhill. I still raise the revs because I don't want to decrease my speed. I just want to go down a gear. That's all there is to it. We're in some pretty heavily shaded area now in the woods, so you probably can't see much of anything else anyway. So yeah, I hope this was helpful, my good sir.